largest country in East Asia. It is the world's most populous country with a population of around 1.4 billion. China covers an area of approximately 9.6 million square kilometers. It is the world's third or fourth largest country. The country in East Asia with the largest population accounted for 1/4 the population of the world. China only surpasses Russia and Canada in terms of acreage and has the size of almost all of Europe. The Global Slavery Index estimates that only any given day in 2016, there were over 3.8 million people living in condition of modern slavery in China, a prevalence of 2.8 victims for every 1,000 people in the country. This estimation does not include figures on organ trafficking. In 2016, forced child labor was found in a garment factory in Jiangsu province. Then, 6 people with disability were saved by the police when they were being forced to work in a brick factory in Yan'an. Student vocational course are reportedly forced to work in the electronic manufacturing sector under the threat of failing to graduate if they decline. These jobs are considered an internship, but usually seem a production line job. Such cases of forced labor have been documented in the electronic factories supplying major brands such as Apple, Acer, HP, and Sony, among many others.
When talking about forced labor, it is impossible not to mention China.
And let's see. What work are they being forced to do in vulnerability to become slave? The Uyghurs, pronounced Uyghurs, are a Muslim ethnic and religious minority in western China. Many of them have been enslaved by the Chinese government under the guise of offering them an escape from poverty and preventing the spread of religious fanaticism. Christians are also forced to work in labor camps in the name of re-education. Practitioners of Falun Gong, a meditative spiritual practice also known as Falun Dafa, have also been targeted for forced labor, torture, and sometimes death. The Muslims from China's Uyghur are forced to do slavery for forced labor in some factory that is biggest brands. The Australian Strategic Policy Institute said this was the next phase in China's re-education of Uyghurs. China has imprisoned many Uyghurs to punish and educate them. China is known as a place with a lot of slaves. And think about it. Why does China need slaves? Chinese government reportedly arrested 464 suspects who were involved in labor trafficking of disabled victims. The gender imbalance in China generates a demand for brides for Chinese men, particularly in rural areas but also cities and smaller towns on the eastern seaboard, where the issue is most pronounced. Some parts of China still have cultural traditions that expect men to pay a dowry to the bride's family. Due to the lack of women at a marriageable age, local dowry prices have skyrocketed, which means that buying a foreign wife is sometimes a cheaper option than marrying a local woman.
Foreign governments, businesses, and civil society groups should identify opportunities to increase pressure on the Chinese government to end the use of illegal forced labor and extrajudicial detentions. This should include pressuring the government to ratify the International Labour Organization's Convention on Forced Labor. Consumers and consumer advocacy groups should demand companies that manufacture in China conduct human rights due diligence on their supply chains in order to ensure that they uphold basic human rights and are not complicit in any coercive labor scheme.